How's it going, people? Tactar Ted, how are you doing today? It's Labor Day. Yes, happy commie holiday. Happy commie holiday. Happy commie holiday. So what's going on, folks? Yes, here we are. It's Labor Day. And it was a commie holiday. You know, the rest of the world usually celebrates theirs on May 1st or May Day. But for some reason in the United States, we celebrate commie holiday first Monday in September. So how's everybody doing? Really that well. Well, some of us have to work, and that's okay. You know, hey, it's Labor Day. It's a commie holiday, labor. So what I should do, I should labor. I shouldn't simply goof around and sit on my ass and grill. No, I should work, and you should too. Yeah. So anyhow, folks, ran into an individual last week who had some issues to pick with me. Young gentleman from Ukraine. I look to be about 25, 26 years old, I'm guessing. And he's complete with the Russian warship Go Fuck Yourself t-shirt. And he began busting on me because I support Russia in this endeavor. I don't make any bones about it. I support Russia in the war in Ukraine. 125%. And this young gentleman started busting on my ass, and I said, well, I'm not Russian. He wanted me to go to Russia and fight for Russia. And I said, well, I'm not Russian. Are you Ukrainian? He goes, yeah. I said, okay, now hang on a second. You love Ukraine, right? Yes. Okay, now, all Ukrainian men who are of draft age have been ordered to return to Ukraine to defend their fatherland and fight on the behalf of Ukraine. What are you doing here? You would have thought that I stuck him with a knife. Oh, he was inflamed. He was absolutely inflamed that I would dare call him out on the fact that, Mr. I am a Ukrainian, Russian warship, go fuck yourself. Yet I'm not fighting in Ukraine. I didn't return to Ukraine. I did not heed Zelensky's call. Now, he's perfectly happy with you or me sending our children's future via aid packages to his country. He has no problem with Americans going to fight as mercenaries and dying in his country. But him? Oh, no. He's going to stay here in the United States, reap the benefits of being an American, yet demand that somehow everyone else take care of his country's problem. Now, are you naturalized? Really shouldn't matter. If you consider yourself Ukrainian, then shouldn't you be going back to Ukraine to defend the country if you agree with Zelensky? It seems to be a little bit of a paradox there. And we let these people get away with this shit. It's real simple. If you've considered that you're Ukrainian, then go to Ukraine and fight. And for you ladies, your time's fast approaching too, because starting October 1st, they are going to start levying a draft for Ukrainian women. So that means you young ladies, you'll have your chance to go out there and slay the Russian invader. And it's probably going to work out for you as well as it has for a lot of your men. You know, let's be honest about this. Let's call shit what it is. If you're Mr. Ukrainian nationalist and you believe that Ukraine has to be defended at all costs, then what are you doing here? What are you doing in Europe? Doesn't quite make sense, does it? And let's face it, I'm not Russian. I can support Russia. I can just the same as a lot of you idiots are out there with Ukrainian flags on your profile because you love you some Ukrainians. I don't love neo-Nazis. I don't love people who make war on their neighbors. In fact, I tell you, some of you Republicans out there who are all upset and incensed about Biden wanting to make war on half the population of the United States by declaring MAGA boys as being enemies of the state. 2014, that's pretty much what the Ukrainian government did with the ethnic Russians in eastern Ukraine, or the Russian-speaking populations of Odessa or Mariupol. That's exactly what happened. They were demonized. They were called to be traitors to the state. And now, if you are a big Ukrainian supporter, well, guess what? You're supporting that sort of thing. You're supporting the 8 years of war they made on people who only wanted their say in a system and who were demonized. You know, vatniks and hohos, in case you don't know the slang of this word. Vatniks are Russians. Moskals, they also call them Moskals. That's supposed to be another slur against the Russians. And of course, hohos is slang slur against Ukrainians. The fact is, what's going on right now with Biden and some of these leftists declaring that they want war with conservatives, they want war with Republicans, all the MAGA people are a threat to our existence. Same sort of shit that was being said about ethnic Russians, people who wanted to speak their home language. They wanted to have a say in their political system. That's the same shit that led to a civil war in Donbass and Ukraine. Absolutely. Yet, you folks are supporting the oppressor. The oppressor is not Russia. Russia is the liberator. And once again, I argue that you cannot allow the other people to frame the debate. Russia's the invader. Russia's the invader. They are the oppressor. No, the Ukrainians are the oppressors. The Russians are the liberators. They are liberating the oppressed peoples in Ukraine. It's all on how you allow it to be framed. And make no mistake, the media will lie to you. The Pentagon, the White House, the government, the FBI will lie to you. And they want you to remain stupid. This is another reason why they decide what information you're allowed to listen to. They have been very shrewd in getting rid of all other information. Now their information, their narrative is the only one getting out. But hang on, Tactard Ted. There's Fox News. Fox News allows the left to frame the debate. Fox News is MSNBC with a fake red hat is what Fox News is. I hate to say it, but that's the truth. It's MSNBC like a wolf in sheep's clothing. They allow people to think it's different, but it's not. It allows the same framing of the debate. Nobody does investigative journalism anymore. You know, I think the closest we had was CBS, and CBS had to pull the investigative journalism they did because it wasn't something that the State Department liked, or the administration liked, or the Ukrainians liked. President Zelensky was shitting his pants, just like President Zelensky is shitting his pants about what the IAEA is ready to say about Zaporozhye. And it's something that's not getting reported here. There's a lot that's been going on there that's not been getting reported in the West for various reasons. But once again, you don't need to know because they don't want you to know. And they really don't want you to know about the war in Donbass. They don't want you to know about that. They don't want you to know how segments of that population were demonized, how they preached how they would basically make the Russian populace who would not accept illegitimate rule, or even Russians, period, make their lives miserable. Poroshenko. Our children will go to schools and play in parks. Their children will stay underground in cellars while we bomb them. I ain't making that shit up, folks. I ain't making that shit up. Peter Poroshenko. He was president before Zelensky. This shit's real. And the shit they were doing to each other is real. When you take somebody and you ground them under your heel, you're not the good guy. When you stop freedom of speech, you are not the good guy. When you limit what news your people can see, you are not the good guy. You know, sovereignty, Ukrainian sovereignty. There hasn't been any Ukrainian sovereignty since the West got involved in 2014. There has been no Ukrainian sovereignty. They are a vassal state of the West. And they're simply, it's even worse than that. They're not really a vassal state as much as they are a tool with which to damage Russia. They really don't give a shit about the Ukrainians. They only give a shit that they can use to weaponize Ukraine. And that's what they've done. They've weaponized Ukraine against Russia. Why? Well, little bit of history, folks. We don't like strong Russian leaders. We thrive off weak Russian leaders. Why Gorbachev is so revered here is because he was weak. And now, I kind of like Gorbachev for being weak too, because it's all the end of the Soviet Union, and as we know, I really don't dig communism. Yeltsin, pro-democracy Yeltsin, very weak leader, alcoholic, a fool, a buffoon, and we pumped a lot of money into Russia to get him reelected. Did you know about that? Yes, we interfered in Russian elections. And it's almost like Yeltsin saw an opportunity for revenge when he named his successor to be one Vladimir Putin. And Putin isn't the sort of Russian leader that we like. He's not the guy who rolls over and wants you to rub his tummy like a good little lapdog. And for some reason, we don't want to deal with that. This is part of the reason I think we like being involved with the EU, because the EU is simply nothing but a bunch of little individual piglets suckling at the Sow USA tit. I mean, that's really just what it is. The USA, Rush Limbaugh years ago, one of the best things he ever says, the US symbol ought to be a sow laying over its side with all the little hungry piggies trying to get at the nipples, trying to get at the teats. They all want fed. Free, free, free. Me, me, me. What do I get? And that's a lot of how Europe is right now. The EU, yeah, they're the piglets, and the USA, we're the sow on the side. Come on, belly up to the bar, boys. But you'll do what we say, and you'll play our game. Honestly, folks, this isn't what our founders intended. Our founders definitely didn't intend for us not to be a free society, to have freedom of the press. We have freedom of the press, we have freedom of speech. But not only does the government do it, but their friends in big tech do it. Big tech, oh, we have a platform, you can come and say what you want. Oh, but you can't say that. Don't say that. Don't dare say that. No. Free speech. Well, what an interesting concept. And the left absolutely hates free speech. You offend me with your speech. Fuck you. You're offended. Okay. Did I smear you? Did I lie? No, I gave my opinion. My opinion has as much weight as yours. And I think that's what bothers them, is that my opinion has as much as theirs. This really is fascism, folks. When you expect everybody else to shut up, you have your say, and nobody is allowed to question it. And fascism does, certain aspects of fascism do exist in communist countries. Certain aspects of fascism are now in the United States. And certain aspects of socialism. very much true. Yet, here we are. Here we are. Basically, if you don't agree with what the government's telling you, then you have to be silenced. And very much the way it was in Ukraine, the ethnic Russians who got Yanukovych elected had to be silenced. We threw him out. You're not allowed to say anything bad about it. Interesting. You know, we hear about Ukraine being the great beacon of democracy. The Maidan coup was not democracy. That was mob rule. And it wasn't even a majority mob. It wasn't even a plurality. It was a minority mob. Just much the same that the Russian Revolution was a minority mob. And the Bolsheviks were not the largest party. They just were able to grab hold and have their power amplified, much as Right Sector and Sloboda and all those other right-wing parties that became the stepdads of Azov. You know, the Banderite faction. And you might hear that word Banderite thrown around, Stepan Bandera. You don't know who the guy is? Look him up, because that's who Ukraine looks to as a national hero. This is who Zelensky has canonized as one of the great heroes of Ukraine. The guy was a murderer. He was a thug. He was a criminal. But for some reason, Stepan Bandera is this great Ukrainian icon. You know, it's much like the Soviet Union. Who were their icons? Their icons were Lenin, who was a criminal, and Stalin, who was a criminal back in the day before Stalin got called out on his bullshit. When your heroes are criminals, you don't have a very good foundation. Interestingly enough, you remember that time George Washington was thrown in prison for robbery? No? Oh, wait a minute, he wasn't. How about, you remember Ben Franklin? Ben Franklin, that notorious thief? What? No, Ben Franklin wasn't a notorious thief. Well, that Paul Revere, you know, that tinsmith dude, or silversmith, yeah, he had to be just what? No? What? Oh, so the founding fathers are only guilty against sedition against the crown because they spoke up. They weren't actually robbers, thieves, murderers, unlike Stepan Bandera or the leaders of the communist revolution in St. Petersburg, or Petrograd, however you want to say it. So it's really interesting if you want to look at it through that lens. Our forefathers weren't criminals, other than political. And you can't say people like Joseph Stalin, who ran whorehouses and robbed banks to help fund the revolution, that he was a good guy. You know, pimps and thieves. That's pretty much the intelligentsia of the Bolshevik Party in a nutshell. And that's pretty much what you've got in Ukraine. You've got a bunch of freaks who are really running the country, and they've got people like Zelensky as a face to show the public. You know, Zelensky, a comedian, not even a very good one, running a country, and he's an actor. So he'll put on that tough face, and he'll act like he needs to be the guy running things. But really, it's all these little Banderite scumbags. And they have a vision of a Ukraine. There'll be no Poles in Ukraine, because Bandera killed a lot of Poles. And some of you Polish people who are supporting him, you might want to look at just what Bandera did for your people because and the Ukrainians come into Poland, and the Ukrainians have their nose up and turn their nose up at what you Poles want from them. No, Poles are pretty strong people, but I don't, and pretty good people, but I don't understand why you're letting them pull this shit. And he wanted to kill the Moscows, all the people who weren't Ukrainian. And let's not forget Galicia, the SS division, because Hitler decided that the Ukrainians were Aryan enough to join the SS. That's an interesting little deal, isn't it? Anyhow, that's all I got for today. I wasn't even going to make a video. I just started pulling shit out of my ass. The kid with the t-shirt, he kind of tickled me. And then I'd also been thinking about how Biden's willing to throw people he don't like under a bus and have us at odds with each other, and possibly even looking towards war. So anyhow, folks, that's what I got for today. You are interested in what I have to say, like, subscribe, all that nonsense. I'll probably never be monetized on YouTube. Not caring to be monetized on YouTube, because I enjoy saying what I want to say. I enjoy putting out my beliefs. I don't want YouTube coming in and saying, yeah, if you don't say that, we're not going to give you any money. By the way, I'll give you a little update tomorrow on Bolden bankrupt and some of the things that came out about that. It apparently it was his association with YouTube and some of the things that YouTube made him do that got him in trouble in Russia. Talk to you guys later.